many developing countries find themselves with large debt burdens. For example, IMF has no mechanism to face this new situation. When Sri Lanka declared bankruptcy, all foreign funding ceased, and that started the political crisis. If not for the help given by World Bank in regraduating Sri Lanka and the help given by my old friend Samantha Powers in funding us with fertilizers, the chances are that I would not be able to come here today. I would not have been in the position. It's so bad, and there's no way in which you can help any country which declares bankrupt. Look at Sri Lanka's financing needs for our climate prosperity plan. To succeed, we need $26.5 billion by 2030. This for a country that's bankrupt, and who the IMF states will have for the next few years a growth rate of 3.5%, if we are lucky. The concession and financing should be accessible by a broader group of countries, including the middle-income nations facing numerous economic vulnerabilities. In the depth of Sri Lanka's economic crisis of 2022, even though the country was implementing robust IMF-supported reforms, the country could not access any new foreign concessional financing due to its situation or debt distress. I must tell you that the negotiations with the IMF is certainly not tailored for these situations. It's still the old way of negotiating. Developing countries to emerge from the prevailing economic challenges, including debt requests, a critical requirement is open access to trade, investment, capital, technology force. But unfortunately, the great power rivalries and geopolitics have been an emerging threat for such market success. The Washington Consensus was rejected in Jake Sullivan's address at the Brookings Institute, with new concept of de-risking and decoupling. The developing South, which was compelled to follow the Washington Consensus, is now asked to do a 180-degree turn even without consultation with us. Since decoupling and since the Brookings speech, whatever it is, we have been asked to change the system. Furthermore, Belt and Road Initiative has been labelled as a cohesive program, and the participating countries like Sri Lanka is looked upon with suspicion. This will further hurt economic prospects in the global south, and the polarization will become more evident. For a country like Sri Lanka, we have learned to live with pressure from America, India and China. I mean, that's nothing new for us anymore. The United States is witnessing an acrimonious run-up to the 2024 election year, which will detract from its ability to lead in this instance. It is creating a vacuum, because if US wants a new order, US must lead. But we know from now onwards till end of next year, that leadership will gradually reduce as they start focusing more and more on their 2024 elections. On the other hand, you are finding a challenge to G7 and Quad, which is the expansion of the BRICS, what we call the BRICS Plus. The South is now looking for alternative leadership, and we can see the G20 has been downgraded. So in this situation, are we going to act in 2024? It's useless giving any more solutions. It's what are we going to face? We know in 2024, the US leadership may not be there. Then who is going to act? So I think it's a chance for the EU to come up and work with the other countries. There's no one else. So I am suggesting that EU, together with G20, BRICS, certainly USA and some selected other Asian and African nations not represented, the IMF and the NDBs, and you can bring in the big financial institutions, private ones, sit down and find urgent solutions. We are watching 2024, and whether we can come up with a new international architecture that better reflects the global realities of today and provides effective representation for those who need it. So we have the resources, we have the solutions, we just need the willpower to decide how it's going to be done. It has to be done urgently. We require a constructive dialogue between the West and China. We need a constructive dialogue between US and China. We need a constructive dialogue between EU and China. Otherwise, we will not move forward. So this is the stark reality. It's a question of how we get together and how we work and who's going to take the lead in 2024. Thank you.
Taking part in a roundtable discussion, President Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke about geopolitical tensions among global superpowers.
We've been going on one strategy, and you are changing it overnight. What do small countries like us do? We only got the crumbs of the Washington Consensus. Now, if you take it off, we won't have those crumbs even. Secondly, Asia, whether we like it or not, is also dependent on the prosperity of China. And if China comes down, it affects all of us. And invariably, China might survive, we may go down. And we are now getting caught into this whole the geopolitics. One is that we never got the full benefit, certainly not Indian Ocean of the Western consensus. In any case, we have to make it on our own. On the other hand, what was available to us was funding from Japan and China. China meant joining the BRI. We've got projects there. Some good, some not that. But that's our fault. We are the ones who selected it. But now all of us get targeted if you're on the BRI. So you can't get any assistance from China. You're not getting assistance from elsewhere. Now we are trying to enter the markets for the first time. We are the first country outside Southeast Asia to ask to join the RCEP. So as we are trying to play with the existing rules, we find the rules are being changed. And if this is difficult for us, it's going to be more difficult for Africa. I mean, this is what all of us realize. And then the outcome of G20 at this time was not fruitful at all. There was nothing in it for countries like Sri Lanka and many other countries. So you may now find a geopolitical split with BRICS, with Russia and China, with Quad plus part of them. But we get caught into all this. And we are the ones who suffer.